Hey guys, Calvin here. I told you all I wanted to do a lot more quick impressions, or excuse me, quick looks, impressions videos, and even some full-fledged reviews, and I was going to be doing them on this channel and the other channel and website I've been working on, but I really wanted to take the opportunity to tell you all a little bit about Warhammer Space Marine, because it's one of my favorite games for the last few months, and I don't have a lot of footage saved on my hard drive. This is actually one of the demo levels, but I played this playthrough was in the full version, and you know, I thought this would be fun to just chat over for 3 or 4 minutes. I think this game got overlooked by a lot of people because, you know, it came out in a time period where there were a lot of other games coming out the first week of September, and it definitely suffers a little bit of the fatigue from sort of the Gears of War style of game. I mean, it looks very similar to Gears of War. It uses pretty much the exact same Unreal 3 engine. It's a third-person shooter. It's got giant space marines, but the thing to remember is that Warhammer did this 20 years ago. I mean, it did Space Marines long before StarCraft, long before Gears of War, long before Halo. Any game that you can think of that uses an archetype like this literally copied it from Games Workshop and Warhammer 40K. So, you know, I think that's the most important thing to remember, is that these guys were first. You know, I did not end up playing a lot of multiplayer. I liked it, but I had too much else going on. I only played it for about 5 hours, but it was good. There's 2 modes, a TDM mode and a domination mode. And the domination mode is very campy, and people are real cheeseballs in it, but the TDM is good, solid fun. There's a variety of classes, including jump-based assault classes and power weapon devastator classes for ranged combat, and the standard assault class, which is a combination of melee and range. There's a few overpowered weapons and some cheese tactics, but, you know, definitely a solid multiplayer experience if you want to play it. But the single player really shines in this game. I don't want to overuse any cliches, but this game has probably the best balance of ranged and melee combat in any third-person shooter I've ever played. It is just tremendously satisfying, whether you want to sit back and use the great arsenal of weapons if you want to charge forward, swinging your sword or power axe or thunderhammer or whatever it may be. Both options are very fun and satisfying, and for that matter, a combination of both is how the game is meant to be played. It really shines when you make use of both melee and ranged weaponry, as you can see I'm doing right now in this clip. The story is really nothing to write home about. I mean, it's interesting in a Warhammer 40K sort of way, but it doesn't do a lot more than propel you forward. And a story that's probably going to last you about 8 to 10 hours on normal difficulty, which is about par for this type of game nowadays. And I was very satisfied with the length. It was fulfilling, and you know, I think the important thing about a game is, does it keep you moving all the way through? And that's a big test of a game's pacing and balance and design, and Space Marine absolutely keeps you going all the way through. You know, whether it's the MacGuffin in the form of the power source you're trying to rescue and capture, or if it's the promise of an upgrade or another jump pack mission, you never really feel bored or as if the game is grinding to a halt. And, you know, honestly, the last 3 or 4 levels of the game probably are the strongest in the entire product, so it definitely gives you something to look forward to going forward. And from a purely, you know, action standpoint, this is probably the most fun, exhilarating, brutal game I've ever played. It captures the feel of bloody, you know, gore-filled close quarters combat perfectly. It's not a cover-based shooter because, as the game advertises, Space Marines have no need for cover. They're 7.5-foot tall, genetically engineered, giant walking engines of death, each one capable of killing 100 orcs or, you know, a dozen Chaos Space Marines by themselves. So it's not a game where you sit back or take your time. It's a game where you regenerate health by stunning opponents and then using your power weapons to literally cut them in half or smash their skulls in. So it's gloriously violent. It's wonderfully fun to play through. The controls are responsive, and if you guys have a minute or are looking for something to pick up, I highly recommend Warhammer Space Marine.